What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today, another episode in the Glazing Prospects series that we have started so far. Today, we have Michael Morales. 17-0, 17 straight wins at only 25 years old. I mean, this guy has been insane. And if you guys have not watched any Michael Morales fights, you need to go out there and watch this guy. He is entertaining. Looking at these last few fights now, going in these past few fights, these past three, all great wins. Max Griffin, Jake Matthews, Neil Magny, especially the Neil Magny win. He just got that done. First round, ground and pound knockout of Neil Magny. Yes, Neil Magny's getting a little bit older now. He's been ran through recently, kind of stacking up those losses. Still a good win in the division. So that now puts him at number 12 in the division. He is now ranked. So what is next for this kid? I mean, starting off, looking at these stats, he got his contract on the Contender Series in 2021. A little bit of a slower build-up than some of these guys that we've seen recently, especially guys that we've covered throughout the past few videos on the channel. It seems like we get a lot of guys that just quickly come up too. I mean, let's think about this. September 2021, that's almost 3 years ago. He's 25 now. So he's been in the UFC system since he was about 22 years old, building up these wins across the way. 2 knockouts, or 3 knockouts, sorry, the rest by decision so far. So he also proving that he can go 5 rounds. Not 5 rounds. He can go all 3 rounds. We haven't seen him in a 5-round fight yet, obviously, but proven he can go all 3 rounds if he needs to, if he doesn't go out there and get that knockout. But he has that knockout power as well. Takedown defense, 92%. I mean, it's going to be hard to take this guy down, but he has been in some striker fights so far. So it's just crazy to look at. Just if you guys haven't watched this fight yet, this just happened on the last card a week ago. Just insane. He just went out there and ran through Neil Magny. 34 strikes to 5 with a knockdown. I mean, just absolutely domination of Neil Magny. So, you might say, what is next for this guy? He is 12th in the division. First off, I'll give you what could be maybe a more realistic option, I would say. And then I'll give you another option that we could see, maybe not non-realistic, but I feel like there's one that I wouldn't be surprised if the UFC does. And like the title of the video says, is he the next Ian Garry? And what that means is he just went through, he beat Neil Magny. Is he going to go face Jeff Neal next? We could see this. Obviously, his last fight, Neil's last fight against Ian Garry, lost that fight. When we look at Ian Garry, Neil Magny, and then Jeff Neal winning both of those. He did win decision, unanimous decision against Neil Magny. He couldn't finish him in that fight, even though he knocked him down what felt like a million times. He just kept telling him to get back up, trying to finish him. So, very similar age, both pretty good strikers. Is he the next Ian Garry? Is he the future? He's a little bit younger. He's a year younger at this point, and he could go out there. If he goes out there and wins this fight against Jeff Neal, where would that project him? At least into the top 10, right? I think that makes pretty much sense right there. He would take that 10th spot right there. And the next one, in my opinion, if we don't see the Jeff Neal fight, if they don't want to put him down the same exact Ian Garry pipeline, which it would be kind of funny if they did, honestly. I would say that he could go up against the loser of Gilbert Burns versus Sean Brady, assuming that, okay, this is how that I look at these rankings right now. You have number 6, you have number 8. Whoever wins this should get into this spot right here. Get into this 5th spot, move Colby Covington down, because you're telling me if Gilbert Burns wins this fight, he's not moving anywhere and he's going to stay behind Colby Covington? Like, if he goes out there and beats Sean Brady, he should be able to move up into this 5th spot. Colby Covington shouldn't even be here at this point. I don't know what his next move is. If it is against Ian Garry, who knows? But he should not be up here. He should not overtake JDM or Shavkat, in my opinion. I think that's pretty obvious. But Sean Brady versus Gilbert Burns, the loser of that fight, I think we could see going up against Michael Morales next. So, would you rather see the loser of Burns and Sean Brady, or would you rather see him go up against Jeff Neal? I mean, two kind of different potential fights. Obviously, there's 3 potential opponents that we could get out of this, whether it's Gilbert Burns, Sean Brady, or Geoff Neal. Gilbert Burns, if he loses this fight, I don't want to go too in depth on this because obviously I will come out with a video about this later, but Gilbert Burns, going to be 38 years old. If he loses this fight, Michael Morales goes out there and fights him next. That would be a pretty big win on, at least for the name factor. I know he's going to be older coming off of this loss, but pretty big win for Morales as a name factor. Where would he go after this? I mean, let's say the loser, do they move Stephen Thompson up? Do they move Geoff Neal up? Like, where are we putting 47-year-old Wonder Boy at this point? This division has so many great prospects, and it's kind of being held up by some older guys right now, in my opinion. We have a fantastic new bunch of guys. Even if we just look at the guys in the ranked part right now, obviously there's guys outside of this as well below that we've talked about on here already, but Shavkat, JDM, Ian Garry, Michael Morales, just all 4 of those guys on here, just to name a few. All interesting fights. Who knows? Maybe they go out there. Would we see an MVP fight? I don't think they have him move below his ranking right now. I don't think we're going to have him go up against MVP at this point. I feel like MVP is going to be more, I don't want to say of a show fighter. Like, he has a big enough draw where I feel like they're not going to throw him up against prospects after that Ian Garry fight. So I wouldn't say that he would fight here. I do think it's either going to be Geoff Neal or the loser of Gilbert Burns and Sean Brady, which is coming up soon. I'm pretty sure. Let me take a look at this as well. Sean Brady too. I mean, 16-1 right now. I think we kind of forget how good he is at 31 years old. Still could easily, if he wins this fight, moving up into that top 5 as well. So it's going to be interesting because this fight coming up soon, going back to the Apex, and obviously Morales just fought. So with this being the next fight night card that we see a week from today, it'll be an interesting one because both of these guys should be on the same timeline either way. I know obviously Morales didn't take much damage in this fight, so it may take a little bit longer, but I would say either way, Gilbert Burns and Sean Brady, whoever loses this fight, goes up against Michael Morales. I would be a little more interested in it, depending on how this goes, than seeing Geoff Neal versus Michael Morales. I don't want to give my official prediction yet. I still got to go into this card a little bit. I think it is going to be Sean Brady. I feel like that's just... I feel like we're moving backwards if Gilbert Burns wins this fight, but I'll save all of that analysis for another video. But what do you guys think should be next for Michael Morales? Like I said, if you guys have not gone back and watched this fight, any of these fights too, I mean, if you want to see him fight and just see the straight power that this guy has, it's fantastic. He's a great striker, and in the welterweight class, it's great to see another prospect come up and move past that old guard that we have. So let me know who you guys want to see him fight next, and I'll see you in the next one.